Your dream clients will literally pay you thousands of dollars per month just to take care of their scripts and captions for their content, but you just never dared to do that. And it is so easy. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to land clients that want you to take care of their content, and B, how to easily do it as just a copywriter, no editing required. By the way, I've gotten 10 plus millions of views from my clients so far, turned that into an email list, thousands and thousands of subscribers, and then turned that into sales, which is what clients want to see. Now, before I get into why these things work, I want to give you a great aha moment right at the beginning of the video, okay? Because I want to teach you which client you should target, all right? Let me get my pen. So, you're probably going after the wrong kind of client right now. You're targeting people on YouTube or Instagram that have hundreds of thousands of followers because you're thinking, okay, big list, big audience, I can make them a lot of money. But then they don't really reply, right? Because they get spammed with outreach every single day, or they already have a team in place, or they just don't know you and don't want to hire you, okay? However, there's a sweet spot of audience size that lets you A, cut through the noise because they don't get as many outreaches every day, and B, they don't have a team and they have the pain points of a business owner who needs a copywriter. Because you have to think about it. People get copywriters quite early in their business, not after they have $100,000 a month in revenue, okay? That's when they already have copywriters to get there. But I figured it out that you can find accounts on Instagram that don't have amazing content. They have a few thousand followers, 10,000, 20,000 followers, for example. Now, by the way, don't quote me on this. The followers are not indicative of a business size. Okay, I can have a big business but not have any followers. But just as a general rule of thumb, you can find accounts that haven't exploded already, and you can pitch them on content and captions. Why? Because that is a pain point for them. And what is content if not copywriting? They want to grow their accounts. They want someone with great hooks, great scripts, someone who can write these very long captions that make the retention graph go up. And they're looking for that. They're in pain. And you step in to solve that, and you cut through the noise because they don't get as much outreach every day. So that's what I want you to do. And also, if you can niche down or pretend to niche down, they will literally think that you have come to save them. Because they have the pain points and they think, oh, this guy works with fitness coaches only. He truly understands me. So that's what I want you to do. Think about that. And now, understand that copywriting is bigger than emails. All the skills that you have in emails or in sales pages or whatever you're doing, you can easily translate that to content. Think about it. What is content if not copywriting? What is a hook? The thing that you say at the beginning of the video, if not copywriting. Keeping someone's attention, retaining them for a long amount of time in the video. What is that if not copywriting? I mean, you literally sit down at your laptop writing what they're going to say. You're writing these captions, telling them comment keywords to get the free guide. And what is that? That is copywriting. So if you can do one thing, I'm telling you, you can do everything. But this is an untapped market because copywriters don't yet understand just how capable they are, just how important copywriting is to the world, to business. To the world might be a bit of an exaggeration, but to business, yes. So do that. And understand that content is really, really easy because all you have to do is, drumroll, steal. When I get millions of views from my clients, all I do is steal. When I make my own videos, I don't steal anything. I'm just being original, building my own world, building my own titles. I don't care. But when I write for clients, I'm taking hooks that do very, very well from a similar account in their niche that's doing much better than the client, and I just take the hook, take the format, and adapt it to my client. So immediately what you should know is that I'll teach you a few things about content that you have to understand, but then after that, all you need to do is just steal. Isn't that nice, huh? And by the way, I do not want you to use ChatGPT for this because it sucks at content. Claude also sucks at content. You need a certain element of humanity to make this work, to make the connection work. And if you go to the first link in the description, you opt in into my email list, you'll get a fantastic copywriting guide, as well as see the coolest welcome sequence you've probably ever seen that will have you clicking through my links and reading for 30 minutes. How does that happen? Well, go and check. Now, what do we do? So I've already told you. First step, research. Let me start writing again. So, first, let's say you get hired. Hell yeah. I got hired. And now what I want to do is research. Don't yawn, it's important. This is the most important part of the process, like no joke. Because you're going to find similar accounts in the same niche, and all you will do then is just take a look at their formats, take a look at their hooks, what they talk about, and you will copy them. But not just any video, you found an outlier. So, you found an outlier. What is an outlier? This is a video that has gotten at least 3 times the engagement than the regular videos. So if they get 1,000 views, if you get 10,000 views, then you check for a video that has at least 30,000 views. I think that's quite straightforward. And you steal everything from it. What do you do then? You just put the client's expertise and angle into it. Client's input in the video script. Okay, that is all you have to do. And I really want you to focus on authority. When you're doing content, you're not just trying to get views, right? Because then you would post cat videos for the clients. But what we're trying to do is build an authority so that people see your client as an expert and get attracted to them. Not in that way. So just give all of the results that you can, all of the time. Results, 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 results. Stories, stories, stories. Your content should be fun and entertaining, but it should revolve around the client's input and the client's expertise. In every single video that you make, think about it and think, okay, where is one piece of proof? And you don't always have to make it a case study, obviously. It can just be one sentence. For example, in this video, I gave a hook and then I started and I just said that I've gotten tens of millions of clients, tens of millions of views from my clients and turned that into money for them. And I'll show you how to do it. You see, I didn't spend an enormous amount of time talking about proof. But I'm always reminding you that I know what I'm talking about because I do this on a day-to-day basis with my clients. So proof is insanely important. And then you want to rehook every few seconds. What is a rehook? Well, if I were to say the rehooks are insanely important for content, and if you just stay for a little while longer, in 2 minutes I'll explain exactly what that is and how to apply it to your client's content so you can make them thousands and make yourself thousands. That is a rehook. Because I'm telling you, if you just wait a little bit longer, you'll find out. Now, you don't have to always take these words, obviously, but just think of the concept of a rehook, which is just as the name suggests, a rehook, right? And after you do that, you want to pay off the video in the end. Pay off in the end. So, if you start a hook with this, let's say, this took me 10 years to learn, but I'll teach this to you in less than 1 minute, and then in the next line, you just give the thing, why would anyone then stay for longer than needed? No. So let's take this, let's take this hook for another example. This took me 10 years to learn, but I'll teach this to you in less than 1 minute. And it's what allowed me to go from 0 to whatever K a month. This tactic is actually this and this and this. You describe it a little bit. And then you pay it off. So what did I do here? I put a hook. Proof. Immediate fucking proof. Then what I did next was describe the method so that you keep watching, and then in the end I paid it off. Because the only important thing with social media that you have to understand is the retention graph. At least with Instagram. It's this retention graph. If it looks like this, your hook is shit. If it looks like this, your hook is good. But if it goes down then, your value is shit. Or you need another rehook moment here. And then if it pretty much just goes like this is a great video. Because people stay after the hook, people are engaged, and in the end, they stay for the payoff. Now, this is all fine and dandy, right? Let's get them a shitload of views. But if you just get people views, they will drop you, right? They will drop you and you will be clientless. So what do we need to do in order to turn that into money? That's what you always have to think about. We already did start with this whole turning it into money process by focusing on proof. You'll get fewer views when you focus on proof and when you focus on education. However, those views, it's kind of like they're worth more, you know? And now we want to attract the ICP, the ideal customer profile, to the profile of our clients. And so that's why we chose the topics that are highly educational but also entertaining. That's why we gave a lot of proof. But now I want to give a CTA in the video. CTA. And the CTA is almost always going to be comment like a certain keyword, and I'll send you a free guide. So what do you do? Because this is a new thing that pretty much changes everything about the video. So you're giving a hook, you're giving proof, but you're also building pain points and putting your free guide as the CTA. You don't want to pay off everything in the end. You do need a payoff, right? There has to be a reason that they watch until the end without being resentful of you and your content or your client's content, obviously. However, you can give them a part of the explanation and then in the CTA, tell them that they can find out more and get the big outcome that they want by commenting and reading your free video. You've probably seen that in the comments. Perhaps you've even commented. Someone said, comment client, and I'll send you my 10 best client getting techniques. Oh, I have to know, I'm desperate, right? So you comment. I've done that too, don't worry about it. So it has to be something they really, really want, because how easy is it to get you to comment when I say comment client and I'll send you my best 10 client acquisition methods that all work? You'll be like, fuck yeah, I need to know, right? But in the comment, in the caption and video, if I said something along the lines of comment dialogue, and I'll show you how to use dialogue in your storytelling, would you give a fuck? Perhaps. Maybe some nerd would. But would you? I don't think so. Maybe, I mean, you'd care, you'd like to know, but would you go to the length of actually opting into an email list to get that? Perhaps yes, perhaps not. My point is, look for the thing that they really, really, really want and use that. I mean, obviously your client will probably already have a free video or a free guide, things like that, so you're just going to use that. But in case they don't, you know how to advise them now. And in case they do, but it's shit, you also know how to advise them now. Because as a copywriter, by the way, you can also make a lead magnet for them. Don't think that the client's cards are stacked against you, because they are not. You are in control of these cards, and the more you control these cards, the more valuable you are to your client's business, the more entrenched you get, the more decisions you make, the harder you are to replace. And you won't get replaced. Trust me when you make decisions. So, we talked about the script now. I don't know what this is all under number one research. I kind of forgot about that, but okay. What am I? Kindergarten teacher? No. So, now we're going to talk about the caption, which is really, really cool. Info business owners really understand captions when you explain it to them, but often they don't have them themselves. They just don't. They just don't have them. But as soon as you tell them why they're so important, they're like, oh shit, that makes so much sense. I want to hire you. By the way, what did I just do? I talked about the caption, and then I didn't pay it off immediately, but I said the client really understand it. They often don't have it themselves when you explain it. So I talked about the caption without actually giving you the value. So you were inclined to listen a little bit more, and that's why I want you to ruin the content, okay? I mean, I am doing content right now, so kind of. A caption has to be long. Why does it have to be long? With line breaks. Well, it has to be long with line breaks, again, because of this shit. The retention graph. Remember, it's the most important thing, the retention graph. Always be thinking about this graph. Fucking dream it. And with captions, you also need to have a CTA. But here you can really make it longer. Okay, you can really make it longer, because the longer it is, the more people will watch, the retention graph will go up, which means your client will get more views, which means more traffic. And more traffic means more sales, even at the same conversion rates. But then when you also optimize the conversion rates and the bottom of funnel thing, which I show you how to do in my email copywriting guide, first link in the description, well then you can double, triple, quadruple a business like this. Especially the business that you want to be going for, like the smaller account that has a very good business. For example, there are so many six-figure coaches, perhaps not seven, but six-figure coaches that just don't have a great Instagram, but already have tons of proof, tons of testimonials. They just used to get clients another way. And when you step in and you do this, bam. And when you explain to them that, look, a caption will mean longer retention, as well as my script and my captions will mean way longer retention, more traffic means more money. They all understand that. And they're very drawn to this idea, especially when they don't have to do that themselves. Now, here's where you really want to use pain points as well. Because understand that you can afford to be a bit more manipulative here, because it's not like they're watching something. It's not like they're watching content, okay? So don't worry about being a bit more manipulative. And drag it on. Make it long. Trust me, make it fucking long. And then again, okay, we have a CTA. We already talked about that. So this is it for the captions. So let me give you ManyChat 101. This is ManyChat 101. And this is so important that I also do this. Whoa. That's how you know it's important. Anyway, this is simply the software that allows you to automatically DM someone once they comment a certain keyword. So when you say comment client, and you comment client, ManyChat will on my behalf send you a DM. And it will say, hey, glad that you wanted this video, click here. And then they click and you ask another automated message, simply asks, okay, great, what email should I send it to? Please only write the email. And then you write the email, and ManyChat has a connection with the ESP. The ESP is the email software provider, such as Kit or ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, Berserker Mail, all of these things, all right? And then, after you get their email, you don't stop here. You say another auto DM, and you say, cool, if you want to see how to start with skill, and you give them a link. If you want to see how to start getting clients, go here to check it out. And you're not telling them where you're sending them. You just say, if you want to see how to start, and you make it stupid easy to click. No commitment. You don't tell them, go here to check out my course, don't go here to buy my course, nothing. You just say, hey, if you want to start, if you want to see how you can start, how my method is completely different from anything anyone has ever seen, and how it can get you way better clients, just fucking go there. And then they go there, and where do you put them? This link is a low ticket sales page. So they will be landing on a long form low ticket sales page, which you also have written for a client, and that's amazing, right? Because you're a copywriter, and the product is going to cost like fucking $20 or something, or $9, whatever, and it's going to be an impulse buy. And the reason I want it to be long is because you really need to build a lot of identification copy and put a lot of pain points and all of these things here, because it's called traffic. I've talked about this in other videos as well, but basically make it longer, a lot of pain points, a lot of these things, because with cold traffic you have to put in more effort, right? And this will create a list of buyers. And this is what you want. So you're already nurturing the list, you're already creating an email list here for your clients, or growing the email list. But here, you're making it so much more powerful, because when you're adding buyers to a list instead of merely freebie seekers, well, the likelihood that they will buy something else is way, way higher. Also, when they buy this, we have order bumps, upsells. And the difference between these two is order bumps is on the checkout page of this low ticket product, I say, oh yeah, sure, I do want this thing, this other thing as well. And upsell is after they buy this, they're on this one-time limited offer page, and you let them know, look, you have a huge discount, or if you buy this, you get another bonus, but only when you're on this page, and I will never make this offer again. Then you give some more outcomes, and you reinstate again, look, as soon as you get away from this page, it's gone, and you'll never see a deal this good again. And then obviously you have to be truthful about that, right? It has to be the case, but that gives you such urgency, especially when it's not that expensive, right? So $50, for example, and then you do that again and again and again and again, and that's how you can turn a $9 or $20 purchase into like a few $100 purchase. All right, and then when you're posting consistent content, you're getting here people consistently, you will make consistent sales for your clients, consistent upsells for your clients, and you'll be building a list full of people who are used to buying things online. Wow, so when you send your emails, they will be twice as effective than if you just stopped here, which is already fine, like I'm telling you, that's fine. But you're already doing this. Now, not better, but this is much better. Now, there are a few fuck-ups that have happened to me that I've understood through experience. The most important one is deliverability, because when we come here and I give you the email, I could write some fucking bullshit and misspell my email and whatever. So it's it's fucking crucial that you have a confirmation email. So at the beginning of your welcome sequence, you just have to craft your confirmation email. You craft a confirmation email like you do it yourself, and that is just click this button to confirm, and then you put a time delay until they click, so they confirm their email. Because otherwise you're gonna really fuck up your deliverability. You're going to have a lot of unengaged leads. Emails are going to hard bounce, and it's gonna be shit, and you won't be able to send clients anymore, send emails anymore, and that is just not good. So make sure you implement a fucking confirmation email, alright? Now, getting back to the content and the content strategy, because now it's going to make a lot of sense. We have different automations sometimes, depending on your clients and on their goals. So, let's say that they are selling high tickets and have sellers. Although if you go for smaller accounts, that should not happen. But you don't only need to have the comment, the comment for free guide. So we have the free guide, but we also have a DM. Sometimes they'll want a set, sometimes they'll have a seller. And I want you to think in terms of tofu, mofu, motherfucker, and bofu contents. What is each one of these? So tofu is top of funnel. Top of funnel just means that the video that you're making has a large total addressable market. So it's topics that are super compelling to most human beings alive. Let's call it like that. So a cat video would be a very top of funnel, but like that wouldn't be very helpful because you would just attract all kinds of people. So let's say I wanted to open an Instagram account about copywriting and make top of funnel content. Well, I don't have to talk about copywriting because that would be more middle of funnel. I can talk about entrepreneurship. I can talk about dropping out of university as an entrepreneur, being a disappointment to family, friends, and all of this bullshit, and then making it. Well, that's a top of funnel content, right? Because it would attract a lot of people. You don't have to necessarily be a copywriter to relate to the pain point of wanting to do something else that people want for you. Then we get into mofu, which is storytelling content. So this is large. TAM stands for total addressable market. Stories and about your work, obviously, and education. So this for me would be the video you're watching right now. So where I'm educating people. On an Instagram video that I would do for a client, it could be the hook, value, paid off at the end, leave a gap, and put the free value, CDA. And then bofu could be the DM me CTA. So let's say they're selling high tickets and you use sales code, your clients use sales calls to then close them. Well, with bofu content, bottom of funnel, you're giving testimonials, you're giving case studies, and you do that here and there because it's not entertaining, and this type of content will get the least amount of views, but the best leads. And that's why you tell them to DM your keyword client, and then your client talks to them, or the seller talks to them, and they book them in on a call. So bofu is case studies, proof heavy, how I work, results, all of these things. So that's what you want to think about. And now you make a few tofus, a little bit less mofus, and the least amount of bofus. Or if your client is already a bit bigger, right, then you can kind of equalize tofu and mofu. But if you're just starting out with a new client that doesn't have an amazing following, well, I would mostly focus on tofu. I mean, obviously focus on everything, but you can afford to do 3 of these, 2 of those, and 1 of those. That doesn't add up to 7. 4, 2, 1, for example. Because as soon as you get a client and you can get them a lot of views, they'll be like, oh fuck, this is amazing. Hell yeah, this is amazing. I love you, I love you, I love you. Because they're not necessarily looking at the ROI in the first fucking week. So that's what I recommend. But you really want to switch to more mofu and bofu fast once you've built up an audience, because you want to sell and you want to actually get an ROI for the client. Don't make the mistake of just chasing views and chasing comments, because who gives a fuck about that if they're not the free guide or DM comments. And the 2 types of videos that I want you to make, which are very easy, is simply these 2. And they can get you a long way. Simply the client recording themselves speaking. This is the voiceover script, and you use all of the tactics that I've already talked about in this video. But then there's also another type of video, which is the short video, like B-roll, 5-second B-roll that has a trending audio, and then on it you put a few lines of text that compel them to read the caption. So use curiosity to get them to read the caption. For example, let's say I'm making a B-roll video, 5-second B-roll video about client acquisition as a copywriter. Well, there I could tell you, they're willing to pay you thousands just to do this easy type of content, but you're not accessing it because you don't dare to, for example, read the caption to find out what it is. Am I saying this is good? No, it's just off the cuff, off the top of my head, pretty much pulled it out of my ass. However, that's the gist of it. And then in the caption, you have a very clickbaity line. I like to use the emoji to compel them to read it, to click it and read. But that's essentially what you want to do. And I usually go for around 3 voiceover scripts, right? 2 short videos, or 5 and 2, or 4 and 3. But basically, I like to lean on more of this and a little bit less in the short video. Now, these are very caption heavy. So you really, again, have to rehook all of the time in the caption. You have to be entertaining, even use some dialogue, like make it entertaining, tell some stories, make it very you-focused also. Again, make it long, and then give the CA. Now, this is very powerful because they will be reading the caption, reading and scrolling, and this video is going to loop. It's going to loop, and so the retention graph will look perfect. Now, since it's a short video, it doesn't mean that, okay, the retention graph is amazing, so you'll get billions of views because, again, the total watch time isn't huge. However, these tend to perform very well, and they're usually very, very good for the free guide CDA. I wouldn't put the DM me here because this is not a both type of content. This is mostly tofu and mofu. So, mofo, thank you so much for listening to this. Get my opt-in, get my lead magnet in the first link in the description. It's also the only link in the description. It's my free copywriting guide. You just read it and instantly you'll be better than 99% of the coppers are reaching to a dream client, and I mean this, and then you'll also have a shitload of fun in my world. So see you next time, and bye. Click it.